former mayor, former House of Representatives, Duval County School Board member. I think you're very well known here, and we welcome you and thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you, Mayor Pat. Thank all of you, Ike and Patty, for the invitation. And I enjoyed listening to all of y'all talk a while ago. It's like who's who of West Side and of Jacksonville. President Hips is out here, and Alton Yates, and Jerry McCool, my mask mate. I didn't realize he was in the Rotary there, and but a number of you, Frank and others. I just want to take a few minutes, not to give a speech per se, but more of a conversation. And then looking at the time, I want to give all of you an opportunity to ask questions. I feel more comfortable in addressing those because the City Council, I've been president officially since July 1, but from what Scott Wilson, who did a yeoman's job as president, dealing with the JEA and then the oncoming pandemic that we're experiencing today and maybe for a long time to come. And then really starting a new term July 1, but hit the ground running. We've inherited a whirlwind while we reap the wind, and but I think it's all for the good of Jacksonville. I want to talk about 2 or 3 issues, and if there's others, please let me know when you ask. One is the JEA. Hopefully, our investigative committee on our side is winding down in the next month or so. And of course, we don't do fines and, well, not fines per se, but jail trials or any of these kinds of things, court cases. We don't send them to court. The grand jury's out there addressing that, and hopefully they'll have some results in the next several weeks, but no one knows. But we're off and running. The JEA has a new board, outstanding board. Executive director, acting executive director. They're in search now for a national CEO, and so all's well, I think. And I think the employees have taken on the board as friends, and that, you know, in Jacksonville, you know, the JEA has been part of Jacksonville all of our lives, and they've done a great job, and they'll continue to do that. And it's like our like part of our family. So that is an update on the JEA. Brenda Priestley Jackson is chairing the investigation committee with Scott Wilson, Roy Diamond, and I couldn't brag enough about Randy DeFore, one of your councilmen out there who's done a great job. She's vice chair of finance. She's chairing now, taking over from Matt Carlucci, the resiliency committee, dealing with our water issues now and in the future, and also on the rules committee. Also, and I don't know how many of you are in Randy White's district, but Randy, a former fire chief, has been outstanding, and he really takes care of his district. He's chairman of neighborhoods, and I'm very proud of all of our chairmen, and our finance and rules committee are excellent. So one of the first things I did before I was even sworn in as president was to create a committee of what I call social justice and community involvement. Alton, I think you can appreciate where we're coming from, and Alberta and others, addressing 3 major issues. It's a non-standing committee. It's a special committee, and I appointed all 5 of our chairmen, committee chairmen. Matt Carlucci and Brenda Priestley Jackson are co-chairs, Matt being chairman of finance, Brenda of rules, and Randy White, Mike Boland, who chairs LUZ, Randy, who chairs neighborhoods, and Ron Salem, who chairs the TEU, the Transportation, Utilities, and Energy Committee. And in addition, Randy DeFore is a member, as is our vice president, Sam Newby. So what we're going to be doing with that committee is addressing issues, not to vote on, but to gather information, take up the bills first that have been filed, not to hold them up, but to make sure that we don't duplicate recommendations, that they may make. And there are a couple of them out there now. Brenda will be assigning the new, making the new committee assignments from here on out. But this committee briefly is addressing 3 areas: social justice and injustices, law enforcement, and economic development. Economic development to include infrastructure, job creation, and education, where the city council can get involved in it. I'm excited about it. I've told them that this is really big. It could be a legacy for this council, and trying to correct some of the past unfulfilled promises, North Side especially, but more importantly, to address all the issues in all 14 council districts, so, and the 5 at large, of course. So I'm excited about this. I think in the next several months, you're going to see some historic recommendations, and one that I think that our council and this city can be very proud of. Another issue, and I'll get to the one that y'all probably are thinking about, the RNC, not so much an issue, but the budget that the mayor presented to us last Wednesday is now in the hands of our finance committee, and it's $134 billion, $134.6 billion. It's about 79 million over last year, but no new personnel. It's pretty flat. We've covered a lot of areas in that the mayor did, and our budget, our finance committee will add and subtract and whatever's necessary starting in August for the next several weeks, addressing all the departments and the divisions, and making whatever adjustments they would. It's in the hands, as Matt Carlucci would say, it's our budget now. And, you know, we're the legislative branch, the oversight branch of government, and we want to work well with the executive branch. For them to be successful, we have to be successful. For us to be successful, they have to be successful. I might add that in the capital improvement part of the budget, there are a number of issues, and I'm not going to get into all of them, that impact the west side that are going to be included. And I think that a brand new fire station on Wilson, I just want to kind of read off a few of them. Murray Hill Playground, McCoy's Creek, which has always been an issue, and with Randy there and Warren Jones and on the chairman of the education of the Duval County School Board, who's always taken an interest as a council president and as a council person. McCoy's Creek rebuild and the raising of the bridge there. Another one would be the rebuilding and raising, and one on Stockton and one on King Street. Then the McCoy's Creek channel improvements and the outfall improvements. And then the 5 Points project, Alberta, where you and your husband first kissed in 1959, or your first date. I don't know if he kissed you or not. For improvements in the 5 Points area. You know, that's a Riverside and West Side is a growing area. And we don't want to leave any neighborhood behind. We need to walk hand in hand and accomplish those goals that have been left behind and those we want to prepare for the future. I think what's important to me and to our council is that we have sustainability, that what we start, whether it's with drainage, sidewalks, septic tanks, whatever it might be, economic development, that it doesn't stop with this council or this mayor, that it transcends every mayor and every city council. So there is sustainability. And I think you're going to see that come out of this council with some, that we lock in some of these issues so they don't get shelved and nothing is accomplished. So those are a couple of issues that I wanted to mention, the budget. I might add too that our debt, I think it's important, the debt reduction. Last year, it was $462 million. This year, it's down to an additional $86 million. So I think we're making some substantial moves in that area with a balanced budget, as we're required by the Constitution of Florida, as all cities and counties are required to do, as well as the state of Florida. So I think my experience as a legislator and as a school board member is very helpful to me on the council. And I'm very proud and honored to have been elected president. It's a tough job, a lot of administrative work, but a lot of outstanding opportunities that I can help lead as they impact this community, and that the council has to make those tough decisions. I think Alberta can tell you she was an outstanding president, and many years later, it's me. So, and I thank you, Alberta, for continuing to set the pace for future presidents after you as well. Finally, I know I'm running through this and I may be rambling, but I wanted to cover some key issues because this has been a 24/7 period. You know, you call it a leap year, but it is a leap year with the pandemic, COVID-19 virus. It came in with Scott, continues to increase and hasn't reached a peak, I don't think, yet here or in the country. And addressing that while you're addressing the budget and now the RNC coming here, maybe or maybe not, depending on what they continue to cut down the numbers, is a big issue. We've just got the bill just a few minutes ago. I have the second draft, which is like 35 pages, that still needed some tweaking, and they finished that. It's going to be filed maybe now by 3 o'clock today and distributed to all the council members and the media, and it is a public record. I spent a lot of time yesterday with our general counsel's office, Jason Gabriel, our general counsel, one of the presenters for, and I'll tell you Friday, we're having a workshop at 10 o'clock on this bill. Jason Teal and John Phillips in the general counsel office, in addition to working with our, Kim Taylor, who's our new, and she was in second command, our new council auditor, who's outstanding, very smart. And we rely on the council auditor. Like the mayor relies on his finance director, our council auditor that department is the eyes and ears of our city council and of this city. In fact, they were the ones who first discovered back in November of last year the PUP legislation that you heard and have read so much about, where they're going to spend millions of dollars in benefits for some of the senior staff, some of the employees, but mostly the senior staff, and especially the CEO, Aaron Zahn. And I think the board has done a great job, the new JEA board, in releasing a number of those, and I use that term lightly, a number of the senior staff, most of them really, as well as the CEO. The RNC bill covers a lot of territory. Finances, as you may know, question is, we get 33 million from the Department of Justice. Does it come to the council in a whole, or does it come in pieces as they pay bills? If we have to put money up front, how long will it take? Do we dot our I's and cross our T's, or then we don't get money? I understand that even Charlotte today, even though they didn't have it up there, they still have bills that need to be paid. I am not in support of any dollar coming from our budget. We can't afford it. And going toward not just this convention, the Democrat convention, Republican, any big event like this. Some people compare it to the Jaguars game or to even to the Super Bowl. There's no comparison. The public safety issue is big, as the sheriff said day before yesterday. He doesn't have the resources. And I can assure you that if he doesn't come up with resources, if they don't give him what he's put the public first, no question about it, public over politics. And for that, I commend him. And if he finds money or gets money, I saw in the paper today that they said it was that's part of the 33 million. It is not for the part that they call downtown overlay. The money that he's getting addresses what the Secret Service has on inside the, I say inside the Beltway, really inside what they call the convention overlay, where the arena is, a lot of the streets on the east side of Jacksonville near the stadium. And so he doesn't have the resources. Whether he gets it or not is a very big question. But you know, we talk about that, but equally, the public safety is very big. It's a big piece of that puzzle for successful or even to have that convention. The other half, and Alberta, you can appreciate this, is the health of this city. All of y'all can really, is what is the pandemic going to do? What have they done to prepare for those who come in on the airplanes, who percentage-wise are going to be infected? Those who come here are going to have a number that's going to be infected. Where do you put them? Where do they go? You don't want to infect the rest of the city. or nor do you want to impact those who will be visiting this city as conventioneers or as observers. And so those are concerns in addition to the public safety. And getting back to the sheriff, you know, we don't want a Portland, Oregon happening here. He doesn't want to see we'd like to say it's going to be a peaceful protest, maybe with the locals it will be, but with people coming from out of town and maybe from other countries to protest, to be here, especially the Thursday the president's here, we need to be prepared, not just from a public health standpoint, but of course the public safety. So the very essence of all governments, whether you're the executive branch or federal government, the state government, local government, whether you're a council president or whether you're mayor, the health, safety, and welfare of every community in this nation comes first. And if I'm not satisfied, I can't speak for the council, then none of us should be. And maybe they'll end up going virtual like, say, the Democratic Party did, or what you're doing now, or what we do on the council. And I think that's very important for me, for our council, and it should be for our city. I don't know how many of you out there feel. I don't want to see it as it's no Republican or Democratic pandemic. It's our pandemic, and we have to address it in the manner that it deserves. We need to respect one another, whether it's with masks. That's not spoken to in this legislation. None of the health issues in this legislation, because the General Counsel's office is not a policymaker, but everything else is addressed in there. I think there's many changes that came out from yesterday to today, but I'll look at that. And so I wanted to give the council an opportunity to look at the bill, come up with their questions, and on Friday at 10, we're going to have a workshop. We're going to have a number of people participate from the General Counsel, the RNC, the mayor's office, hopefully a medical physician who's involved with this to answer questions. And hopefully that if they don't get answered there, that we can submit questions to them. And by early next week, by Monday, that we have those answers. What I don't want to see is Tuesday night, we come up with, that bill comes up that night at a council meeting on the 28th. And I don't want to see us still having to deal with hard questions and unknown answers. And I can appreciate that, because, you know, this thing was is to be done in 40 days, not 2 years like all the other conventions, not like the Super Bowl even. But so those are things we all have to consider. On top of that, this bill will be introduced as a in and out, which means an in and out emergency, which means you have to have 2/3 vote of the members of the council to take it up, and then vote it up or down 2/3 of the majority. So those aren't easy numbers to get, but if many of them or most of them are satisfied, then it'll pass out. If not, I think it's kind of stops in its tracks, quite frankly. They're not going to be able to receive the monies from the federal government. They won't be able to do a lot of things that they're planning for. That's not my mission. My mission is to make sure that we have a safe plan, a good plan, a healthy plan, and a safety plan. And so between now and next Tuesday, I think the deed's going to be done one way or the other. The sheriff said we're at a point of no return. It's not over until it's over. But I think that the public deserves answers, and so does the council. And hopefully we'll get those answers. And if we don't, then the council is going to have to make some tough decisions. So with that, I hope I've kind of covered a lot of areas. There's stuff every day, as you know, that gets introduced in the council. These are the things that are not so gentle on our mind right now as a council. I'm proud of the council that we have. I'm proud of the committees we have and the work that's already been done. So I hope you all appreciate your elected officials from your respective districts. I certainly do. And with that, I'll conclude and open the floor for 10 minutes of questions, if you have them. Thank you, Mary Pat. And thank you, audience. I've never spoken on a Zoom except our council meetings and our committee meetings. So not seeing the audience is a little bit different, but I know Brenda Priestley Jackson spoke to the Downtown Rotary Monday, and so she had kind of the same thing, but she did an excellent job. especially answering questions in addition to giving her talk. So with that, Mary Pat, there's no yay or nay. I don't know who's going to be moving.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll open the floor. Who would like? I can't see everybody. So, all right. I see Ed Pratt Daniels. Thank you.
Hey, Tommy, how are you?
My man, I didn't know he was there. Still looks the same, only younger now. He's not the superintendent. Thank you.
So I've heard two opinions from different city council members as to how to organize and channel money, if you will, to Northwest Jax. One was to set up an independent authority and a dedicated funding source. The other would be just to do it directly through city council. Do you think there's one way is better than the other, or where are you on that?
I do. Thank you. That's a great question. I know that I can't say I'm voting yes or no, but I don't support it. So I don't know how you'd take that. The 1 cent one of our councilmen wants to take a penny from increase the gasoline tax. You have up to 6 more pennies to do that, which is about $5 million, I think. And for every dollar collected, put it in the Northwest. We already have, and even the African American community, those are members of the council, and it's just what I've heard. I haven't talked to them individually about it, but they want to share dollars with all Jacksonville. They don't want to be just singled out. But that's what our community, our social justice and community involved in the community investment committee will be looking at. What I want to see, and I mentioned this earlier, is permanent dollars coming from. The mayor's added $100 million out of that 200-something million dollars for the CIP, the capital improvement, and most of that will go just to the Northwest Jacksonville. I want our committee to look at what was promised and what is an unfulfilled promise, and address those issues on a permanent basis, and to find a funding source within our budget in the years to come, whether it's, I don't want to say a tax or whatever it might be, and move forward knowing that these projects aren't going to get left behind. They need economic development. They need help over there. They get it from the Economic Development Department. But it's not enough. You need to hold people's hands wherever they live, and those who want to be entrepreneurs, and help them get to that point and let them be successful and work their way to great success. I don't want another authority, quite frankly. I guess I've had enough to deal with thinking about the JEA. You're talking about hiring staff, get $200,000 or $300,000 for the executive director, a board, money going there, another budget, and I think the JTA, if we did raise the tax, I think that tax, I think that much of those dollars will go to the JTA, and the JTA has a number of projects that will impact the Northwest, and so I feel more comfortable in being control and not creating yet another layer of bureaucracy. And quite frankly, it would be probably very much a debatable. Every decision that they make could be challenged by anyone in the community. I think I'm going to follow what the African American community feels like and what many of the other council members feel like. No more authorities, no more dedicated sources of revenue to create an authority. Let's use those dollars, if we ever add to that or ever increase our property tax or whatever, then making sure that they go to the right place and catch up for those issues that have been left behind and move forward. So bottom line, no, I don't support that. And I think you're right. There may be debate on both sides, but I don't think anybody wants to raise a tax like that and then dedicate it to one area of town over another.
I agree, and thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you, Ed. And by the way, vote for I know you are, for the half-cent sales tax at the school system. I tell you, this has been the pandemic has been a challenge for the schools all over the country. And you know, I praise our school board and our superintendent. and for the jobs that they're having to do. But let's pass that sales tax. The schools need it. And that's great for infrastructure in Jacksonville. Jobs, as you know, when we built a couple of schools when I was on the board, and the jobs that it creates and the impact on the economy.
Hey,
Thank you.
Mary Pat, I had a question. Tommy, thank you. I'm Dan Laurie. I'm Deputy Director at the zoo. We appreciate yours and the council's support here, and we're proud of what we do for Jacksonville. Just out of curiosity, with the, you know, we haven't heard that much about the shipyards and the waterfront, and
we haven't either. Yeah,
I was just wondering, in your mind, who should be cleaning up that shipyards? Where is that a federal issue?
Some of it is, and some of it is us, and some of it will be the developer, whomever, whether it's the Jaguars organization or whomever. Much of it has been cleaned, like the school board property adjacent to that, the old JEA site, has been cleaned up already, and I'm waiting on that project to start coming up from the ground. I don't know where we're going to be. It has to be cleaned up before. And they're doing things. They've got dollars out there in the budget, the CIP budget, to prepare the shipyards. We also have to work out a deal with the federal government for Metropolitan Park, given exchanging wetlands, as you know, and other park properties for to substitute for the Metropolitan Park, so that they can have that facility, that area for development. And so, and I support development going that way. We can't leave the core downtown behind either at the same time. And by the way, I thank the zoo. Y'all have a great zoo. I saw an old 1950 film, and the way it used to be, it was interesting. It was like watching a sitcom, only it's not a sitcom. But from when y'all used to walk take the tours and do the things when you had cages, though, that seems so archaic. Even though we accepted it back then. But thank you all for the job y'all are doing. It's not cheap to operate a zoo. Thank you. Mary Pam.
Thank you, Dan and Tommy. We have time for one more quick question, if anybody has. Carl Dawson. I see Carl's hand.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? Yes, ma'am. Council President Hazouri.
Yes, sir. Tommy.
I understand you have a wonderful executive assistant.
No, she's not so wonderful. Yeah, she is. She's right. She is done. She came over from the JTA, working in the finance area over there, and I don't know which one's bossier, my wife or Amber, but they get the work done for me.
I've got a quick question for you. 30 years ago, you took the tolls off the bridge. Now that we have new technology to collect tolls, would you think about putting them back on? Because we're obviously needing the revenue.
No. In our legislation that we passed, we took them off the bridges and JTB and other ancillary roads, and said that our promise was, you vote for this tax, we won't put them back in those places. Now the states come on with their Lexus lanes, they call them. I doubt if they're going to make the money that they expect. It kind of is a slap in our face, but that's the trend. I don't know. That money goes to transportation. It's not going anywhere else. It's collected, you know, with the half-cent sales tax. They could go another half if they put it to a vote. But the JTA is doing a great job with it. And you know, just take you back to those unthrilling days of yesteryear, when we had the odor, and Alberta's right there, and she was right by me when she was working with the nurses and St. Vincent's and helping us clean up our air, she and W.C. Gentry and others. And then was the tolls. It's a promise I made when I was in the legislature, because we had to pass legislation in case I was elected mayor that we could use that to vote on a sales tax. I remember the backup at the Full-Warren Bridge. I mean, they could be up all the way to Tallahassee today, where you had a 2-lane road that went into the tolls. We don't need that. Buckman, not Buckman, but JTB, they were on the honor system in the end because no one was paying that quarter to get on the J. Turner Butler Boulevard. And those little ancillary side roads, like on Emerson and all, where it's 10 cents, they wouldn't even pay. They couldn't pay for the toll collector. And plus, don't forget the air quality the exhaust, the fumes, the backup, all those things. No, from an environmental standpoint and from a ability to move our traffic, I wouldn't support it. If the state wants to continue to do that, you know, before, I might add, I know this is the last question, when the Fuller Warren Bridge was built, it was built without money from the federal government. They would not pay for the interstate if you had a toll. Now they've changed that since then, and you can build them, but we couldn't build it. That'd be state and local dollars that built the Fuller Warren Bridge. And look what we would be if we didn't do it. And because that expressway system has really turned out great from the north side to downtown and part of I-295 and 95. So there are a lot of concerns that you have when you're thinking about it. It sounds good, collect the money. And then, you know, that was a close vote, quite frankly, because we had to keep tolls and taxes on for a little while longer until I got the cabinet to change to allow us to do it quicker. And so I think people, Arlington, others, you know look at the bridge today, Matthews, when you're going to a football game, back to back, going to Florida, Georgia, going to any sports activity that's big or any entertainment activity, and how packed the Matthews Bridge is. So, and no, you know, others may have a different opinion. It's just mine and the experience I've had in getting it passed, and what it has done for our city. I think is to be a toll-free city from that perspective is monumental. I used to hear Miami talk about the city with tolls. Some of my delegation down there, the delegation members from the legislature, and the city that smelled. Well, they don't have that to kick around anymore. In addition to that, the HRO, that was another big issue. I'm hoping that this Community Investment Committee, Social Justice, will be just as meaningful as Ed was talking about, to moving Jacksonville forward and not leave a single soul behind.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.